In this video, we get to talk to Trey Xavier, who started at the ground floor at a blog called Gear Gods, and over the years, he worked up the ranks and eventually started a YouTube channel for the site, which he grew to over 200,000 subscribers, and then got up enough cash sometime in the past year to actually purchase the entire brand from his employer before that company got purchased by a subsidiary of Sony. In this video, we not only cover that entire journey, but also what it's like owning a music blog, what it's like having a YouTube channel, and how all the growing pains associated with that, and also a lot about the back end of the music industry that the average person or average artist doesn't necessarily get to hear. Hope you enjoy.
Hello, Internet world. I'm Trey Xavier. What am I? I should have a better short title. Trey Xavier, content creator. I mean, that's like basically sums it up. I'm a musician, a guitarist, a songwriter, YouTuber, recently TikToker. I should probably check and see how my TikTok today is doing before I start saying that kind of thing.
You don't want to call yourself a TikToker before you have 1,000 followers.
Yeah, well, and yep, there's that. I've got almost 10K. Maybe this video. Nope, nobody's watching it. All right, we'll say TikTok hopeful.
Nice.
But you know, I also think I fall under the category of educator, but that feels so pretentious to say.
Yeah. When people ask me what I do, sometimes I feel embarrassed to say like YouTuber because it's kind of got a lot of baggage, but saying like teacher or educator also feels kind of lame as an explanation of like what we do. I mean, we don't do the same thing, but we're both basically teaching stuff on the internet. So
yeah,
you're just a lot more entertaining than I
am. That's because I have no inhibitions. And I don't care if people think I'm weird or stupid or whatever. And that's got its ups and downs. But yeah, I will say that I am willing to try lots and lots of different kinds of things and see what works and what doesn't. And although my parents are still married to each other, I still have that like comedian self-loathing narcissism and need to make people laugh. So entertainer is also a huge part of what I do. But you know, I have a little tiny empire that I'm very proud of, that I love, and you know, between streaming, putting out edited video content, both educational and entertaining, the website, my band, and all the like little social media outlets. I think of them as the little ones because they have little vertical content, which is so dumb because like whatever, like they bring in just as many views or whatever as YouTube. But I've got quite a little thing going on, and in my courses, it's a lot. I don't really have a life. I don't have a lot of free time.
I guess for all of my people who will be watching the final video, so you have a channel which is now called Trey Xavier, but used to be called Gear Gods, and then a blog called Gear Gods, and then social media contents, which I'm assuming have all been turned into Trey Xavier now.
They haven't all been. Some of them. Here and there. It's because some of them like I don't. Because the website is still called Gear Gods, and the website hasn't changed at all, the blog that you referenced. So some of the social media outlets are primarily for that, reposting stuff from the website and posting gear-related things. But yes, the whole empire of which I spake used to be called Gear Gods, as far as the eye could see. And it was, there's a very long story, which I will shorten for you as to how that happened. But long story short, I started out as an employee of Gear Gods. For some reason, I'm looking back and forth from staring into the eyes of the audience into yours. I should pick one and stick with it. I'm gonna look at you.
Ooh, how romantic.
And
Yeah.
what kind of stream is this? So I was started out as an employee of something called Gear Gods. I got in on the ground floor. They hired me as a writer for the website. I was writing one post a week for $100 a month for months and months. I was just like, and then I just like did a bunch of stuff that they weren't paying me for, just like did stuff because it was fun and like I was into it, and I made myself too valuable to get rid of. And then when the other guy left, when the editor in chief got a different job, I was the obvious choice to hire for that. Over time, I made it a bigger and bigger job just by once again like working too much and doing too much stuff.
How many years ago was this, by the way?
It was 8 or 9 years ago that it started.
Wow.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then in 2020, I bought the whole company from my bosses. So I bought my job, basically. I bought all of the social media outlets, the website, the email list, like everything that was and is. And then I changed everything about it, basically, except for once again the website, the Gear Gods website and stuff has all that has all stayed the same because it's definitely still something that I like and that I want to do some of, and it has a lot of value for what it is, like just covering heavy, like the gear of heavy music and stuff. So I hired a writer to write all the posts and articles and stuff for the website so that I could focus on just making the content, the videos, all that stuff.
That's a pretty baller move, to put it lightly. The fact that you just like worked your way up in this company from little blogging grunt guy, not to disgrace what you did, but that, you were starting off at $100 a month, and then fast forward 8 or so years, you bought the entire. You're the entire face of this company at this point, and then 2, you purchased it from them, which is the like most kind of literal interpretation of, like, for lack of a better one, rags to riches in a way.
Yeah, and being able to buy. Think of it like this. Nobody's ever going to pay you enough money that you could buy them out.
Right.
Like, I mean, like, I wasn't poor, but I was not in a position to, like, just outright dump that kind of cash. So I had to take out a loan and stuff. So, I mean, that's typical, like, but I learned a lot about business in a very short period of time. We'll say that. And just, like, my bosses were great. Like, I have nothing negative to say about them. And like, it was a bit intense negotiating over a long time, but it all worked out. We're all still cool. I mean, I literally saw one of my old boss, Frank, from Metal Injection, like a week ago. And I that was a big part of it for me. I was like, look, like, if it doesn't work out and we can't do it, we can't reach an agreement, that will suck really badly because I will have to start completely over from scratch. I'll have to quit and do something else. But I want it to, I don't want this to tear us apart. Like, I mean, for a lot of reasons, because they're cool, because we're friends, because and also because they run the biggest metal outlets in the world, and like, you don't want to ever burn that kind of bridge, for sure. But also because I hate conflict. So that's kind of weird when you're trying to negotiate something.
That's something I didn't realize at first either, was that Gear Gods was part of the same company that owns Metal Injection and a few other big metal blogs, right? Like, what were some of the other ones that are part of that?
Well, no, it was just those two
Okay.
at the time. Now it's gotten a bit more. It's different now. I don't really know. I don't know what I'm allowed to reveal and what I'm not. I think it's mostly public knowledge, but I'm actually not sure.
Oh yeah. Feel free to keep it on the safe side. I don't want you getting sued because
Yeah.
of a podcast episode.
Yeah. So, but there's a thing called the Blast Beat Network, and it's its own thing. It's its own separate entity, separate from Metal Sucks and Metal Injection. It's an advertising network, and Gear Gods was part of that. It wasn't actually its own separate LLC until I bought it. Basically, what I bought was all of the assets.
Yeah.
Right. And then I had to incorporate it into its own LLC, and then and the branding and all of that. So
right.
It's kind of weird. It's like a weird situation because a lot of people go like, well, why, when I did this whole video about, changing the name and everything, I told basically this story, not quite in as much depth, but people were like, why would you buy it and then change the name? Like, what did you actually buy? Well, aside from, like I said, the website, which hasn't changed, I bought the audience because it's possible that I maybe could have announced that I was leaving, and all 200 and whatever thousand subscribers would have subscribed to my new channel that day, and everything would have been great. But I wouldn't have the website. But realistically, what would have happened is that I would have been starting a new channel, a new identity, everything from scratch. So that would have sucked.
Yep.
And I was like, it'll take me years to get back to where I am now. I would rather pay the money. I know that I can make it back pretty quickly, and I have.
Already?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's only to make all your money back in 2 years is pretty dope.
Yeah, less than 2 years. It's mostly about like leveraging what you've got properly and giving the fuck you price more often than you can.
We get a super chat, so I feel like I have to call it out, from Witherfall, which you also know. Witherfall.
Yes.
He says, well, first he says, "Oh, nice, what's up, guys?" But then he also said, "Bring back Gear Gods," and then a bunch of people are saying like, "Hard disagree. Gear is cool, but music is better," and so people are discussing that.
It's fine. He's trolling.
What would you like to say to people who like, because before you were a channel that would cover a bunch of gear, and I'm sure that when you kind of switched to the songwriting, I guess is what I would call you now. You're like a songwriting channel, whereas before you were mostly a gear channel. Do you find that there's people who miss that content? Did that have any performance impacts or anything like that?
I thought that a lot of people would be like, okay, well, it's been fun, but bye,
Yeah.
Especially on that initial announcement video. But that was not the case. There were some people who were like, yeah, I'm here for the gear, actually. So, but that's just like the people who actually commented and decided to let me know. Like at an airport, you announce your departure.
Right.
I was like, I was shocked, and I looked at those like maybe 2 comments of people who did that, and I was like, holy shit! I thought it would be all this, but I actually gained like 1,000+ subscribers just off of that one video, and I was like, all right, I'm doing the right thing. This is great, because if you think about it, what they would actually be saying is, I know I don't want to actually learn about music and how to use the gear that I've got. I just want to twiddle knobs and buy more gear that I'm never actually going to use. That's what you would actually be admitting if you didn't like the switch over, because for 8 fucking years I've been showing people how to dial in their amps, like reviewing guitars. And like at this point, I, and probably anybody who watches this channel seriously, has a dick ton of gear. You know how to use it, like, basically. And now what?
Yeah,
You know, like, but like,
there's kind of a limited lifespan of a subscriber if your whole content is gear, because then if, let's say, someone comes to your channel and they find out that they're going to buy this guitar because you reviewed it and said it was great, and this amp because you reviewed it and said it was great, when they buy that, if you're still just covering new gear, your channel is kind of useless to them now. I mean, they might still watch it because it's fun to kind of drool over new gear, but if you're songwriting, it's I would think it's a more never-ending kind of relationship with your audience than gear.
yeah. And like, there's, because the gear is just a tool, and the show isn't tool time. You know, it's like, I mean, it was, but there's like, yeah, exactly what you're saying. There's a period of time where you have to gather the tools to do the thing.
Yeah.
And like that kind of just goes on forever in some way. But like, I don't really acquire gear anymore for the purposes of making, you know, yeah, like I already have way more than I should ever need to make music, to write songs and record them. And I mean, I could, if I had the skills, be a complete one-stop shop, like writing, recording, mixing, mastering. Yeah. I don't mix or master, but if I did, I could do all that. I have everything and then some. But like, the thing that I actually want to do is just the first part of those, and those are the most important things that we do as musicians: writing the songs and recording them, like creating the piece of art, like what's it called, like conceptualizing it, and then bringing it to life, making it what it is, what it's going to be, the final product. And basically what the channel was for this first, I don't know, 7, 8 years, was kind of fetishizing the instruments, like the tools to create, which is so dumb. Like does a carpenter like fetishize the hammer? Like, is he like, oh, what about this hammer? Is it like aerodynamic enough? Like, I mean, I know that they probably do to a degree.
Yeah.
But like, you could have the same hammer for 40 years and never even think about it, you know?
Exactly.
So like,
the same with music gear. Like, you know, I mean, I'm in a room overflowing with music gear. Like, there's like 5 guitars, 2 basses, a like rack of synths, a Euro rack, and then like a billion plugins. And what do I use when I go to write a song? One guitar, an amp modeling plugin, Serum or some other VST, and Contact. Like, that's probably 99% of, in like a microphone, audio interface, and all that. But it's not like I'm using even like 5% of my entire studio. And a lot of people love the gear channels because they go and they buy everything from those gear channels, and they end up with a lot of gear. And it just kind of makes things harder, I've noticed. Like, the more gear you have, it doesn't really free you. It kind of puts you in a little prison where now you can't decide what to use. And it's fun. I'm not going to say having all this stuff isn't awesome, because sometimes I'll just dive into it and use it extensively. But it doesn't help you write better music at all.
Right.
And that's like the most important part of the whole thing. It's like, you can have the best gear in the world, your songs can still suck. You can do the best marketing in the world, but if your songs suck, it's going to go badly. So it's like everything that before and after, it's like the song is the only thing that, it's not the only thing that matters, but it's the most important piece of the puzzle.
And yeah, the song is the most important thing, because something that I say in a lot of my materials is that songs are your currency in the music industry. And people tend to misinterpret that, especially in my little ad for the Riff to Song Challenge. Because what it means is that if you write great songs, everything else matters a lot less. If you write a truly great song, it can be recorded not great. The mix and master can be okay, like, and people will still grab onto it. It'll still connect with them. Of course, you want all of the other stuff. Having great gear can help you to make a better recording, help you play better, the works, right? But the only thing that's going to connect with people is the great song. And then what happens is that it opens doors for you throughout the music industry, right? Like the kind of people that you want on your team, on your side, will suddenly go like, oh, you're worth working with. Because like they're looking at things like Spotify numbers, like music video views, just your social media stuff. But why would people why would those numbers grow? It's not going to be because you're, I mean, it could be because you're attractive or because you're like a ripping guitar player or because you have a lot of cool gear or something, but it's going to be pretty obvious to somebody who looks at that stuff if that you're like, yeah, that it's that and not the music, you know?
Yeah.
So like booking agents, labels, managers, etc., those people are going to go like, are you worth the amount of effort and money that we're going to put into you? Because it's a lot for them to take you on, and a huge financial risk. Is it going to be worth it? And the way that they're going to determine that is if you have the songs that are just going to carry you through tours and albums and like time, you know?
Yeah.
So like I kind of feel like if you don't really have great fucking songs, everything else, all the effort that surrounds being in a band or being an artist of any kind is kind of a fucking waste of time. Like, God, you could spend so long and put so much effort, so much fighting with your bandmates about space in your van. Like, do you really want to put up with somebody fucking farting in your van while you're trying to sleep on the floor for fucking Fire Desire lyric songs, like just total shit that nobody's gonna care about? I look at have you seen the Anvil movie?
I don't think so.
The Anvil documentary? It is a fucking great movie.
Oh,
It's about it, like, but the beginning is, it's like about how the dudes in the band Anvil, like, you know, after like playing this huge festival in like whatever, the early 90s or late 80s or something, with all these huge bands, and it's like all of these bands went on to great success, but Anvil, and then they show the guys from Anvil, and like one of them is working at a school, like giving out school lunches and shit. And then you listen to the music of Anvil and it's terrible. Like it's like how they got their way onto this festival, this huge festival, like playing with like Bon Jovi and shit. Like, I'll never know. But the reason that they failed is because their music is awful. Like truly fucking awful, poorly written garbage. And if you like it, great. Like whatever. It doesn't fucking matter what I think. But the proof is in the pudding.
yeah.
They were not good and the songs were bad and they fucking slaved over it, toiled in obscurity forever and ever. And like, all you need to do is have music that is worth listening to. That'll give you enough motivation to put up with all of that shit until you have some kind of success. So
Yeah. There's so you know, on my channel I talk a lot about music marketing. And also I've talked a little bit about how, you know, I talk to like 15 plus artists a week on my calls and stuff. And some of them tell me like, oh, to, you know, when I went to book this show, my rates were negotiated based off of like some arbitrary number, or I was only booked in this show because I have a lot of monthly listeners. I only got this label thing because of my social media. You know, there's all these things, and I've talked to labels too, and some of them like will say that they factor in a lot of those metrics and those marketing-y things. But the thing that I don't bring up all the time, because it should be obvious, but it's not, is that a prerequisite for a show or a label, you know, work any industry things or your marketing going well, so the music has to be pretty good, at least pretty good. It like you can have a song that's like okay, and you can have it do pretty well, like as if the marketing's awesome. But if you have a song that sucks, it's gonna do really bad marketing. Like no one's gonna want to. Not song, but if all of your songs suck, then it's gonna be a problem. And so a lot of the marketing stuff and a lot of the businessy things, like the prerequisite to even play the game is to have good music.
It's not even step one. It's like step 0.
Yeah.
Of before you even get there. And and then like if you're paying for promotion, right? If you're paying for marketing like we do to some extent, the efficacy of it, your CPMs or whatever, cost per view or whatever, is going to be basically how much you're paying for the amount of marketing that you're actually getting. Is going to be based on how good the presentation and how good the thing is. Because like, think about receiving an ad as you're scrolling through social media. If you're going to stop and watch a music video from a band, how long are you going to watch it for? It depends entirely on how good it is. Like if you click on it and the song is fucking awesome, you'll probably watch and listen to the whole thing. And that's every person that you're marketing to from the other side. Like, like you can't really force. You can't force people to like your music. There will probably be people who will like it and listen to it, even if it's not great. I mean, Anvil still has a following, you know? Like, and like, good for them. Like,
also, it's the whole
like
subjectivity thing. You know, like some people hate Primus, and some people really fucking love Primus. And a lot of people would say that they think their music is trash, and other people would say it's the thing that got them through their hardest times in life. So there's a lot of subjectivity in it, but at the end,
100%. There's no objective right or wrong or good or bad at all in music. It doesn't exist, but you know, there's like, yeah, for sure. And like, I guess it's always a problem when people double down on their like shitty music and they go like, well, I don't understand why people aren't like, why I don't have any listeners on Spotify. I put so much into this. I practice all the time. I fucking shred, bro. And they're just making a lot of like really obvious mistakes that are just like sucking their entire I don't know. How do I put this? There's no objective right or wrong, but the court of public opinion, if you care about that, will be the final judge. And once again, it'll come across in either what you're paying for promotion or just your organic views and all that and listens. So like there are things that you can do to make your music more broadly commercially appealing, which might not be what you want, but at the same time, then if you don't care about that, or you think that the quality of your music is going to carry it, then awesome, you shouldn't listen to anything that I have to say. And you don't need either of us, me or you.
I mean, there's a whole thing about making music for you and doing what you're going to do anyways. It's just not what's going to necessarily help your songs actually get out there and get into more people's ear holes, you know. Like some of my music I make for fun. It's entirely for me, and then I'm like, this doesn't fit into any of my music projects. It doesn't make sense to release. I love it, but my people would hate it, so I'm not going to release it. It's just a song for me, you know, to have fun and make music. And
I mean, that's incredibly fucking important. And well, first of all, that's the only way that you get to a point where you're doing anything that's meaningful to you in the first place. Like you shouldn't really have to water down what you're doing for a broader audience in a sense. Like people need real great art, like real like true messages of like and highly intentional art that is there's no formula for originality, you know, and people want that, and you want to have that. It's more about like packaging it in a certain way to make it to deliver the message better, like more effectively, you know, in my opinion. And I don't know, like most of what I say is based on a lot of analysis, and that can be very helpful at a certain point in the creative process. The initial sort of what I call sandboxing, when you're just trying a lot of different stuff to figure out what it is that you're actually going to do, the ideation, the conception phase, all of this stuff is where the true originality comes. And it's like things, for example, like, okay, once you've done this, once you've got something worth saying, like an original sound and feeling, and like something that you feel is very important to get out into the world, musically, lyrically, like everything, right? You still have to get it into a 16 by 9 rectangle to show to the world. And if you don't know like how to format a video for portrait versus landscape, and you wind up with something that's like reboxed, you know, like 3 times, and it's this big, and you're trying, and then you're like, here's my art, please. Earth, give me thumbs up. And like, and you like the fucking audio is in mono, and like, you know what I mean? It's shit like that that's going to hamstring you unnecessarily, making dumbass decisions like that. It's not objectively right or wrong, but you've just watered down your message by being stupid, and that's not intentionality, you know? Or like having a shitty mix and master. Like, you could be going for like a raw lo-fi thing, and if that's going to work for your sound, then that's what you should do. You shouldn't feel like you have to have this ultra modern hi-fi production if that's not your vibe. But don't like try to do that and then try to do it yourself and do it shitty and then put it out and be like, but I used neural plugins and like whatever hot new drum library, like, isn't this what I was supposed to do? And it still sounds like hot fucking garbage.
Right.
So I think those are the things that I'm trying to emphasize more than anything else in most of my educational materials, keeping people from making those kind of dumbass mistakes.
Yeah, I remember one time I sent my song in for my metal band into your live stream, which you do every Friday, all Friday. I think this was like one of your 12-hour ones. It was crazy, and I don't think I sent it to you. I think Eric sent, because he did the mix on it. So he sent it your way, and I didn't realize that your music review streams weren't just like you listening and being like, oh, yay or boo. You kind of like riff on the song for like a good 10-15 minutes and kind of start playing along to it on guitar, learning it by ear, and kind of exploring some tweaks. And one of the interesting things I learned from that was, you know, in that song, it was kind of just like there was a lot of repeating parts. And you were like, I feel like before this verse goes into this chorus, this guitar riff could have like switched and done this little fill thing to jump into it. And so like while you can't teach someone songwriting, you can kind of teach someone songwriting in a way. Like I wrote a song.
I can't teach somebody songwriting.
It's it's like a interesting thing. Like a lot of people say you can't teach how to do it, but there's a lot of little things where like it's hard to explain how do you come up with a guitar riff. But you can teach someone that if they have that initial spark, how they can flesh it out into a full idea. And it's a lot of what you do in like I binge watched a few videos earlier to kind of see what you've been covering recently, and there's a lot you can learn in songwriting, and it's weird because in a way you can't learn all of it, but in a way you can, you know.
It's so like I can't force someone to be creative. Like I can't make you like have the desire to make something. Like the initial spark has to just be there. You have to be able to make something. I think everyone can, just about. I haven't ever met somebody who doesn't have some kind of small bit of creativity.
Yeah.
Like even if you just asked someone, like if you were like, here is a sentence, say the sentence, now just sing it for me. Like all right, the first sentence that I just saw was what I posted in the Discord for this. I'm hanging out live with my pal Andrew Southworth right now. Okay, like I think anybody could do something like that, even if it was fucking terrible. So that's what you're talking about. That little seed, you could take that and turn it into a symphony, much less a song.
Yeah.
If you learn, like, those are the things that you learn how to do. Like, oh, what else does this need to take it from this little snippet to a full-on thing? Like, now, most of it is just doing it a lot.
Yeah.
And like constantly trying new things, figuring out what other people are doing, like stealing moves, you know, like I don't know, having like the third chorus be like way down at first, like starting out with like a really, like having your final chorus start out really tiny and small and then exploding it to the being way bigger than the other two choruses, whatever, stuff like that. Those aren't things that you need to do, but they're tricks and moves that you can try, and are they going to relate to your initial seed of an idea? So like I kind of feel like you probably would never watch any of my videos if you didn't already have something that you were starting with. Even if you haven't been doing it very long, you're not good at it maybe yet, there's kind of no reason to watch any of my like educational songwriting videos before you actually feel like you want to get better at it. Most of what I'm going to be doing on the main channel from here on out is going to be more entertainment based around songwriting and song creation and music stuff. The second channel is where the most of the educational stuff is going to go. By the way, I realized I didn't really mention that off the bat, but I up until now I've had like a bit of a mishmash of different kinds of stuff on the main channel. But like so much of it has just been like songwriting, like tips and tricks and like little things. Like, why would you ever click on that? Like how to get better at programming your drums or whatever, if you didn't already have some initial idea. So most of what I teach really is development of those ideas. Like even like we've got the free course. Okay, I literally have 100% free songwriting course called the Riff to Song Challenge, in which I guide you through taking your one riff and turning it into one song in 1 week. And it's as straightforward step-by-step instructions as it could possibly be. I mean, I made it in such a way that it's like, I like to think that anyone can do it. And then I have a
Yeah.
much more in-depth course. But in the full course, basically what I'm doing is taking a very simple idea, a very simple initial seed of an idea, which I actually create in the moment by it's basically procedurally generated. And then I just to prove that that you can make something cool out of almost anything, right?
Yeah.
And then I develop it throughout the course into a full-on song with harmonies and different parts. And so like more than anything else, it's about the development, I think, because it's kind of like, think about like the idea behind any given movie or TV show, right? Like the concept might be just this little thing. A man gets sick, can't cover his health bills, decides to start cooking meth to pay for the bills. Okay, like that's a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
small shell, like a snippet of an idea.
It could
The show could
easily
have
have turned into a horrible show if every step after that didn't go to plan. Like it turned out to be one of the best shows ever. I mean, I think so.
Yeah.
But it could have
Yeah.
easily been a dumpster fire. Just kind of like how I don't know if you ever heard of the video game Anthem, but that sounded super cool. You're gonna play as this like Iron Man like super soldier. You can fly anywhere in this alien planet that was built by gods, but they didn't finish it. Like it's a really cool thing. Huge dumpster fire. Like but it was one of those things where the idea was like really bitchin', but the execution just sucked, and music's a lot like that. Now, one thing I want to bring up, because you just said it and I feel like I'll forget. You have a separate channel that you're starting, which I think is called Trey Xavier Again, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be all your education
It only has
stuff.
one video. But
So
yeah.
Are you doing that so that you can, like, do you feel like you've kind of hit a peak or saturated the kind of education-y audience, and you're doing the entertainment one on the big channel so that you can go kind of grow that pool of people, but then still having a separate channel so you can provide all that content for those people?
Yeah, it's a kind of a problem of the modern age, the way that we have to develop audiences on the internet. And I'm sort of a great example of why you shouldn't just do whatever the fuck you want without any kind of strategy. Because I didn't really, well, what I was doing on the channel in the beginning was not my choice, right? Because like I said earlier, I was an employee. I had to, I mean, I had a fair amount of freedom, to be fair, but it was still within the sort of narrow confines of, like just, yeah, gear reviews, gear stuff. And so what happens when you do a lot of different things on the channel, like I was doing, like everything from interviews to reviews to tutorials and like comedy stuff, shit posting, like if there's no consistency, your audience is completely varied, and people come expecting a certain thing, the thing that they subscribe for. They found one video of yours and they were like, oh, it's going to be a lot more of this. They subscribe, and then they get another video of yours served to them that has nothing to do with it.
Right.
And then they don't watch it. And then it's very difficult to grow quickly because then your audience has to like all of the different things that you're doing. And there's a hard cap on how much you can grow doing like educational content. I think there are some people, I mean, you could do very well with it if you were doing just that. And I have ADHD very, very badly. Like, it's a superpower in a lot of ways, but part of the problem is that I don't want to do just one thing. And if I'd have been smart, I would have started the second channel a lot earlier and had two different kinds of my two basic different kinds of content,
Yeah.
which is entertainment and education. But it didn't occur to me that that was a problem for far, far, far too long. So I'm like, one of my many goals, is to get 1 million subscribers on the main channel. And I'm not going to be able to do that if every other video is a 30-minute tutorial and then the other ones are 2-minute comedy sketches, you know? So like from here out, I'm keeping it separate by just for the pure practical purpose of keeping the audiences separate to a degree.
Yeah.
Which, it sucks. Like, I don't want to have to do that. Like, I think a lot of people who follow me will watch both of those.
Yeah.
But
But the YouTube algorithm will definitively punish you for it.
It will punish the shit out of you, and I hate that. And I don't like having to do that, but I'm going to play the game a bit. And I think by being very open about it, you know, like just making sure that people understand that, they'll be understanding, and like you know, I really like doing stupid shit. Fucking the stupider the better. Like if it makes me laugh, it's probably dumb as shit. Like I put up a video this last week called Guitar Store Karens, and it was just about like a guy who had never played guitar before wanting to get a manual with his guitar because he thought he would be able to learn how to play guitar from the manual that came with it, just like you buy a blender and you can use the blender. And like that to me was so fucking funny, I had to do it. And of course I got my friend Rudy on it, who's like the funniest fucking guy I know. And like I love doing that as much or more than I like doing educational content. But like basically a fellow YouTuber was like, oh, so your channel is like educational, like you do have like an educational channel. And I was like, oh no. Is that what I do? No. So I just want to be able to do broader stuff that lots of people will enjoy, probably mostly musicians, but like people who like music.
I mean, like, do you know the YouTube channel Rumi?
Yeah, I had him on last week. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
Oh yeah, right. I think I saw that thumbnail. So like, he in the past, as you know, like did a lot of singing stuff, and like nowadays, he's very much like entertainment content that would work super good on social media. And I don't know if he has social media. I'm sure he does great on TikTok, but he does all these like challenges, and he'll like react to things, and he has like millions of subscribers,
7+ million.
And I had someone on, I don't know if you know Patrick CC, but he had a channel that used to be kind of like music industry, music business. Like he might cover the behind the scenes of some rapper and why they blew up. But then he went to like more broader kind of like documentary kind of content, where he does like a deep dive into some very like he did some kind of thing on Bam, and he did something on Drake and Josh, and like so it's the same kind of content, but he just made it like super broader and bigger. And he went from like 100,000 to like 1 point something million in a year, just by that switch. And like I think one year he was like, oh, next year I'm going to be doing more documentary style stuff, and there was like a year after that he 10x'd in size. It was crazy.
God damn.
So that's a real thing.
Yeah. And
drop audio. Rumi confirmed for stream tomorrow. No, I wish. I used to watch his channel all the time.
Yeah, he's got some really good shit. He's actually not in town right now. But so like I love so much of his content. He did a so when I first met him at NAMM this year, he was doing he had just done a string of like songwriting challenge videos that were fucking gold. I was like, I had no idea who he was when I met him. No clue. My Mary Spender introduced us at NAMM, and we we're like, oh, we like live pretty close, let's hang out. And then I went and watched some of his stuff, and I was like, fuck, these are good. He like writes songs with his friends, like they do these like challenges, and it was like a little bit of process, like a little bit of the process. They would talk about like even like some of the plugins they used in the sounds, and it was super snappy, really funny. Somebody would judge the songs, and they would, in like, it was, to me that was like peak broad songwriting content. And
Yeah.
I took a lot of inspiration from that. Really super well done, and like it was funny, and like you learned some stuff. Super great. But he like, yeah, he kind of changed a lot of what he did over the course of his channel. Yeah, he used to do
You do the multiple voices things a lot, like singing the
Yeah.
song in 7 style, or maybe not that, but one man,
Yeah,
40 voices, and
yeah, did a lot of like those kinds of impressions, and obviously he can do that because he's an amazing singer.
yeah, he's
But
genuinely a really talented vocalist. So that
Yeah.
definitely helps. But
but like he also he cultivated a broad audience by doing that, and he continued doing broad music content that just about anybody could watch and enjoy, you know. Whereas I have been doing super specific niche things that was very very in depth and very specific, which is cool because, you know, like I always felt like I was doing things that the world needed, but it was so niche that it has prevented my growth, my large scale growth. And part of it was just also like doing stuff that is completely different and all over the place. And I would say I never took my own advice that that I would tell other people, like, hey, can you give some advice for a small starting out YouTubers? And I'm like, yeah, do one thing and do it over and over again until you are dead. Like, don't like, you can hit a point where you can branch out a bit, but it is not like, it's not easy to do, and like it can cause major problems with your channel and your audience, and you have to be thinking about that. Like, you want to get to a place where you can do whatever the fuck you want, but that's very hard to get to, and maintain a constant audience. And it's a little corny to do the same thing over and over again. It's not really what I'm going to be doing. Like, I'm going to do a lot of comedy skits and songwriting challenges that are like fun, like
it's more so like the general category of content is like, this channel is entertainment, this channel is educational. You might have your educational content be super entertaining, and your entertainment content might have a lot of education, but it's like the focus is separate. And now when it comes to giving advice to people who want to grow their channel, picking a thing that you're really good at, portraying that really well, and then doing it forever, that's kind of how every channel has to start. You kind of just have to put your head down and just bang out a video a week for like several years, and you'll eventually grow a channel. But there's a lot of other things, as you've probably learned over the years, like what metrics are most important for people to focus at? What's the most important part of a video? You know, those kind of things. Like, what would you tell people to focus on if they wanted to be the next Trey Xavier?
First of all, you do not want to be the next Trey Xavier. What you want to be is the best version of yourself, and the once again, in a way, it's kind of like that songwriting thing I was talking about. Like, your best you you do have to package it in a certain way. But CTR, click-through rate, is something that I ignored for a very long time. So that's like the content has to be great in the same way that you have to have a great song to start with. But if you don't package it correctly, no one will even see it to know or hear it to know how great it is. So that the packaging part of it is good editing, which includes like a lot of exciting transitions and zooms and sound effects and stuff, like which seem like dumb tricks, but like it just makes it more fun to watch.
Yeah.
And your titles and thumbnails, which the only thing that matters is getting attention and not lying whole hog to your audience. Like you, to an extent, like you're not lying to them, but it's sensationalizing,
Yeah.
right? And I still don't even really feel like I'm that good at it. But if you study the really great YouTubers, they're taking advantage of how do I put this? They're taking advantage of some psychological facets of how people's brains work and making the title and thumbnail in such a way that you have to click on it to find out what the further story behind what it says and what you can see. Like I said, I don't really feel like I'm that good at it, but those are very important things. And the click-through rate is where you're gonna see how many people are opening the door to your content at all. And mine are bad, man. My click-through rates are fucking bad. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I try so hard.
What are your click-through rates, if you don't mind sharing?
I mean, they're like, at best in the last few weeks, it's been like 8%.
I think
like
that's good.
Best, but mostly it's more like 5, if I'm lucky. So, it has a lot. I mean, there's so many things that factor into that, and it's kind of a whole study on its own. But like,
I mean, I guess just for comparison's sake, for everyone wondering, my click-through rate, at least in the last 28 days for my whole channel, is 5.8. So it sounds like we're roughly, but I mean, there was like a period of time where it was 8.7. Last week it was 4.6. So it goes up and down, but so we're getting about the same. You're probably doing a little bit better, but what have you noticed works best? Like let's say out of the videos that have most recently published, you have who hurt you, and like for any of you who want to play along, open up another tab, or when this video goes live as a final video, open up a new tab, look at Trey's channel. I'm starting at the who hurt you video, and we're gonna do a few of these. So there's who hurt you, where you have a stupid face with the chef hat. And I can actually, I'll put this on the screen too, so just baked into the video. I'm blocking your face right now, by the way.
That's fine. I mean, you can see my face 6 times in this.
So there's who hurt you, there's overrated, no gong for you, and then excuse me, suffering. Like, I would guess the click-through rate and hear me was not very good. And I would guess that excuse me, Guitar Store Karens, the click-through rate was phenomenal. I would think overrated didn't have as good of a click-through rate, but then again, maybe the title made up for it. So like, those are my kind of guesses. Like, I think who hurt you, excuse me, would be the best out of those 6.
Yeah. So let me take a look here. Where do I find the click-through? Okay, yeah. So the excuse me one is 8% currently. Like, it basically, usually it starts out very high and then drops over time. I think it actually started out at very high, something like 14.
It's probably because your subscribers seeing it initially.
Yeah. And then okay, let's see. Come on. A lot of people really liked the Who Hurt You one. I mean, I also think it's kind of funny because the way that my face was squished, I kind of look like a Who from Whoville, you know, like
Yeah, and it's Christmas time. Wait, so who you said
um,
Guitar Store Karen's was 8, Who Hurt You was 6?
no, right now it's 3.6%.
Oh, so that one's actually has a pretty bad click through rate.
It's bad. It was much better. It was more like 6% when it started out. But you know, it over time, like if you haven't been keeping up with my contest and you just saw that, you would have no fucking idea what was going on.
That's true. I looked at it, and it says I actively hate this song, but you really have no idea what the video is going to be out and why you should watch it. Whereas Guitar Store Karen's, you look at the "Excuse me, holding the guitar by the strings." It's like, okay, this is a comedy video, and then you look at the length, and it's like, okay, it's probably a skit. Like you can kind of tell, and then you want to see like Guitar Store Karen's, like it really pulls you in. So you know the reason why I kind of wanted to go through that is because I think the moral of the story is when you have your thumbnail and title, to kind of figure out how to make a good one, you have to like one, give a person a compelling reason to click, and usually that involves like a story in a way. Like they need to look at those two pieces of information and kind of think about like what the video is, like why would they watch this video, but then there has to be enough information lacking where they have to watch the video to get an answer.
It's called the like the information gap or something. I can't remember. There's a phrase, there's a term for it. Curiosity gap.
Yeah.
Because if you give them the entire story in the title and the thumbnail to where they don't even need to click on it to know basically what's going to be in there, then they won't. But you ideally want to create a situation where they, in order to fill the only way to fill that curiosity gap is to click on it.
And then ideally watch the whole video too. Like
and watch the whole video. But by the time they've clicked on it, it's too late for you to do anything about that. You have to have done that with your editing. There's a lot of ways that you can do that to make it more interesting, like, and exciting, and keep their interest the whole time. And then, so that's the next most important thing, which is watch time. Watch time and audience retention.
Right.
So, like, how long people stick around for. Now, these watch time and audience retention. So you actually get a little graph for how, like, how long people stick around for on average. And the thing that these contest reaction videos have going for them, even though the click-through rate is kind of abysmal, is watch time. Like this Who Hurt You one that has a 3% click-through rate has a 13-minute average duration and a 44% percentage viewed, which isn't as good as the Guitar Store Karen's one, which has in terms of actual percentage.
But that video is only two minutes long.
Right. Most people watch almost the whole thing. Like it's like it's got almost a 70% view rate, which is phenomenal. Okay, like that's crazy. But that's only an average duration of 1.5 minutes because it's only 1.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
So people sit down with some fucking popcorn to watch my reaction videos because they're 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
And that's like half the
it's a tricky thing being in the education kind of category, because I feel like my videos are most useful you know, because maybe I'm teaching someone how to use Facebook ads to promote their song on Spotify, whatever it is. The most useful iteration of that would to have the title be Facebook ads for Spotify, X amount of streams and X amount of time for X amount of money. The thumbnail shows a graph. The video starts off, I got this for this by doing this, and then I teach the whole thing. Like, that would be the most useful. But what I found just by, like, I've done a ton of that exact category of videos because every song I release, it's going to be completely different, right? And so, like, one thing that I've been thinking of doing is essentially just flipping. I've already kind of stopped doing the title thing, like Facebook ads for music, blah, 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 and making the title and thumbnail a lot more, like, for lack of a better word, clickbaity. You know, 42,000 Spotify stream Facebook conversion campaign. Like, even that is probably a lot more I could do. But then, like, instead of giving the result, like, right up front, if I just hid that at the end. And the problem is I hate that so much. I hate when it gets flipped because then you skip through and there's, like, this really weird balance if you have an education channel where, like, you have to kind of tell them why they should watch and learn. But if you tell them why they should watch and learn, a lot of people aren't going to sit and watch and learn. So it's a very frustrating kind of balance, which the entertainment stuff I don't think has that problem.
Yeah, it does not. You know, I can't, like, the entertainment videos for me are generally much less effort to make and a higher return on view count. And I kind of like making them better to an extent. I mean, the reaction videos, these long reaction videos, are kind of both. Like, they're reaction videos to contest entries. I have to listen to these entries anyways to determine the winners for the contest. And it's like, I could sit there and listen to them by myself, or you could watch me hearing them, and
Trey can take that content all the way to the bank.
And it's so that's, like, kind of straddling a weird thing. And if you the entertainment thing, like, a 2-minute video doesn't have much overall watch time. I can't put a mid-roll ad in it, you know, so, like, I have to have higher views on it to make any money, especially if it's not a sponsored video, which so far almost none of them are. Like, I'd like to get to the point where I can do stuff like Daniel Thrasher, where he does ads in the video that are so funny that you fucking want to watch them. He calls it the skit after the skit. And that to me is, I think he's crushing it. Like, of all the people who do that kind of sketch comedy, musical based stuff, I think he's got the coolest format. I mean, Rudy has also done that a lot in the past.
By the way, we got Eric Simey in the house. I've never actually learned if I've said his last name correctly.
I always said it wrong, but I stuck with it. I always say Zaimi.
Yeah. What's up, Eric? Glad you're here. I don't know if you're still here, but our mutual acquaintance.
Yeah. He introduced us.
Yeah.
He's the reason we're here right now.
He is. By the way, if anyone is sorry, could you say that again? I was talking over you.
Could you say that again? You interrupted me. No, I said he's the reason that I'm here right now when I could be playing God of War.
Right. I'm very sorry to interrupt your God of War time. But if anyone is interested, Eric, awesome dude, helps me out with my mixes for my band Ever Waking Moment. And by helping out, I mean makes them amazing. He has a channel called Audio Bros Podcast. So look it up. They do streams where you can, like, they have a Discord, you submit your music, they'll, like, get if you have a really crappy mix and master, he'll do it on stream, make it sound good. It's a cool stream. But anyways. Yeah. It's the correct pronunciation. Simey. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, you got it right. I fucked it up. But with confidence.
With confidence. That's all that matters. If you say the wrong thing with confidence, it's actually correct.
You have to do it a certain number of times and
Yeah.
just go whole hog in with it, and then eventually people will be like, I'm actually from the Trey Xavier school of pronunciation on that one. I think same is really, I mean, technically, I think
Yeah.
that's like fucked up, but actually so true. Think about this. Think about playing a minor third on top of a dominant seventh chord that has a major third in it. Okay.
It's going to sound bad.
You want to say that it's going to sound bad, but that's the sound of the blues. They were just like, no, man, we're going to play this minor third. And you're like, no, but the chord has a major third in it. You can't just, and they're like, and you're like, no, it's wrong. And then like years later, the blues exist because they just fucking hammered it over and over and over and over again. And I mean, it's not just that,
right?
But that's how something becomes a thing. You just
repetition. Or Dillinger Escape Plan. Like if you listen to their first album, it's just like the most obnoxious chords and strumming, complicated strumming. Like the first time you hear it, you're like, I hate this so much, you know? And then just through listening to it again and again, you're like, oh, this is like really grooving, you know? This is like, I really like the dissonance and like the pain in like the sound. Like it's kind of like hot sauce. Like you first hear like, oh, my mouth's on fire, but then you kind of grow to like the burn. And I think, you know, for Dillinger Escape Plan, like they're one of my favorite bands of all time. And the first time I heard them though, was that I saw them live. They were opening for another band, and I was like, I hate this. This is awful. And then now I wish they were still a band writing music.
Yeah, and like there are certain things that shouldn't work, and then the only thing that makes them work is just either doing it over and over again or hearing it over and over and over again. And then so like that's what, but having the confidence to do something like that, just being like, no, this is what we're doing. It's going to be this. It feels kind of weird even to me. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So if everyone could start getting some really awesome questions in the chat, I'm going to prompt Trey with a interesting question, and then we're going to kind of cut the video and then do Q&A for a little while. But my question for you, Trey, is you have Gear Gods, which was originally part of the whole thing where Metal Injection was. And there's this whole like big band submitting music and getting blog coverage and getting covered on social media. And it's a whole like machine. How does that kind of enterprise work? Where like how does a band or a label approach a site like just a blog that covers that stuff? And like I've heard of a lot of label fuckery and a lot of payola that occurs. What's it like on the other side?
Great question. Well, I would okay. Right. So I'll tell you from my side. So, of course, for the longest time, I would just write whatever my bosses assigned me, right? Because so much of what I was doing was writing for the website for a very long time. Nowadays, because it's all mine, I get to decide what goes on there. I'm curating what's going to be on the site, okay? But I'm having to and the reason that we do these is to get clicks on the site, right? And the site generates money by having banner ads, okay? So
so you're essentially you're covering a thing and I guess in the case for music, you're covering an artist or a song or a tour or whatever it is because you want their fans to come and generate money for the website. Right?
Yeah. And I use that money to pay the writer that I have who writes the stuff on the site. Now, it's just one aspect of what is on the site. We do a lot of just general gear coverage, like gear news.
Yeah.
If a company puts out a new pedal, we'll have a little write-up on it with some information and a link to where you can get it, and like we're just putting it in front of people's faces. And then most of what we're doing for bands is premiering playthroughs or gear things. So for example, today we had a write-up for dual playthrough, two separate playthroughs for the band Ingested on it's a Metal Blade band. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so the way that I knew that, like, so it's an exclusive premiere, which means if you want to hear those today, you have to go through us. So the band will hopefully share our link to the post on the website. Okay. It's got it's got a list of all the gear that they're using. It's got it's got the videos embedded in there. And
I'll put that on the screen real quick so people can
I'm over here scrolling through it, but
see
you
what
can't
we're
see.
talking about. Yeah, so it's watch Ingested Guitarist and Drummer rip through All I've Lost. So this band Ingested is getting some extra little free promotion from my channel now. You're gonna have to go back and send them a bill. And then you get your ad. So these are your Google, or I'm guessing
I
Zerg.
I actually hate those stupid ads underneath there. I've been trying to get rid of them.
I hate this style of ad as well, but
but if you if you go over to the left and the right and the top, there should be, I don't know why they're not showing up on mine right now. The website is undergoing a little bit of a behind the scenes overhaul.
Yeah. But like you're premiering videos that are playthroughs and you're showing off their gear. And so like how did these artists, like how'd you decide you were going to write this article and cover this band? Did they approach you?
Yeah. So their publicist gets in touch with me and says, "Hey, we've created this piece of content. Would you like to premiere it for us?" And so we're kind of the main outlet for premiering playthroughs. So if bands shoot playthroughs, probably the place that they're going to try to get it premiered on is on Gear Gods, because we're known for it. We do them a lot, and we've got the right audience, which is musicians. For metal musicians is our primary audience. So, their publicist gets at me and says, like, "Hey, we've got this thing. Do you want it? Like, do you want to have it as an exclusive?" And I have to decide if I think that the band is something that our audience will like, or if it's something that I think that they should watch, like something that, like that they would like, something they need.
Yeah,
basically.
so like if, like for example, publicist reaches out, we got this playthrough video of John Petrucci playing the craziest solo he's ever done from their upcoming album. It's like, oh my god, yeah, like let's talk about this and premiere it. And like if Spirit Box, who's kind of popping right now, comes to you, but if a band comes to you and there may be like there's a balance of technicality and not technicality, but impressiveness in the video, and then famousness, I guess, or popularity, where if this really talented, fantastic video comes, you might not cover it if it's not going to draw any attention, but if it's like really exceptional, it might overcome the lack of popularity, and you kind of have to weigh those pros and cons.
Yeah, and that's why it's curating, because like it can't have none of that.
Yeah.
It might have a lot of one or the other. We've definitely done premieres of stuff that like just is not really that interesting to watch, or like I don't think it's really that interesting to watch, but it's a very popular band, so people want to see it. And I don't think that I should like totally gatekeep something like that. Like if it's a popular band and people want to see it, even if it's just a lot of fucking bow, 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 you know, a lot of fucking O's and nothingness. Sometimes I'll do it just to get, you know, to get eyeballs on it. Like, but if I do, you know, if you gotta, it's a balance, because if you do too much of that shit, like you'll burn out the people will be like, oh, what am I doing here? Why did you put this in front of me? Stupid. And I've also on the flip side done stuff for they'll send something that is like shitty quality, like badly filmed. The sound quality is not that great, but the whatever it is phenomenal, and it's like an unheard of band, and I'm like, yeah, like that's fucking cool. Like now ideally I want a good quality piece of content, like good video and good audio, from a band who I know people will care about and click on to watch. And it'll be coming from a trusted source. So the publicist or person that is my point of contact is somebody that I've hopefully have worked with already. These days I don't have a lot of time to be screening tons of stuff. So it's nice to have publicists getting in contact with me and being like, hey, this is a cool thing. Please take it into consideration. Like, see if it's
it's interesting that a lot of bands see getting covered on a blog to be kind of like a tool that can promote their band, but in reality, and most of the time, it's the blogs are using the band to grow their ad revenue. And like it's not like the blog is giving it is like, I mean, there's obviously some people who regularly check out the blog will check out a new band, but most of it is kind of the other way around, where like you're relying on the band or the gear company or whatever to bring people to your blog.
Yeah, it's like best case scenario, it's mutually beneficial for both of those things. Now, of course, a bigger blog is going to want to cover you if you will bring in clicks. And you might think like, oh, like that's dumb. How can you gain any traction? But you have to look at it from their point of view. Like, why would they cover you if nobody's going to click on it? Why would they pay a writer to take the time out of their day to write up a post that could be about Slipknot that 100,000 people are going to click on instead of 50 people who are going to click on your thing? And I experienced this exact problem. I had the best publicist in the business pitching my band for our new music video, which is called Scream. Andrew will be kind enough to put the link in the description or on the end screen.
In the final video, I'll link it. It's in Virtue also, so if you want to check it out now.
Scream is the song. Like we couldn't get an outlet to premiere the music video like at first, so we got one with a smaller blog called New Noise, and like, you know, not a lot of people clicked on it because nobody knows who my band is, and that's fine. I was expecting that. I was hoping to like maybe. I've
heard that some of the times a blog will, like, if it's coming from a label or a popular band, they're covering it for free. But I've heard plenty of situations where that same blog, if it's they look at how many clicks they're probably going to get from this, and if it's like almost nothing, they'll actually just straight up like charge them a fee to cover it. And it happens all behind the scenes. Like they'll hire a publicist or PR company, and the publicist might like end up kind of paying the platform to cover it, because they know that like if they cover this instead of something else, they're not going to make any money off of it.
Yeah. I haven't actually experienced that, but honestly, it makes perfect sense. Like,
Yeah.
you might think of it like it's payola, like on the radio, but as far as I know, there are no laws against it. Uh,
Yeah.
but like, think about this, like publicists. So, assuming that you're not going directly to the outlet, um, you're paying a publicist because they know people like me, right? So the publicist is making money off of it. It's already kind of payola in a sense. Um, why should the publicist be making money, but the outlet isn't? I mean, the
Yeah.
outlet can just say no. They can just be like, nah. But is it really any different from paying, for example, Facebook to push your thing in front of somebody, like your music
Right.
video or whatever? Like, it's an ad. You're paying for advertisement, the same as like Jack Daniels will pay for a banner ad on Metal Injection
Yeah.
or
It's essentially the same
Press or whatever.
thing.
Which you can also completely do. You can go to the Blast Beat network and be like, I want to buy X number of impressions of banner ads, and you can just pay them for advertising. I find that banner ads don't really work all of that super well for bands, especially if they're unknown. It works if you're trying to advertise a tour for a big band, and you can put it in front of people that
Right.
like, oh shit, I didn't know that Tool was going on tour. Fuck, I'm gonna buy it. I bought a concert ticket for a show in October of next year because Facebook was like, hey, the Postal Service is going on tour. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I was like, take my money. Like, and if I hadn't been shown that, I wouldn't have even known that it existed. But like editorial stuff like a premiere, like like I said, I've heard of this happening. I haven't actually actively experienced it or had to do it. Ideally, you don't want to have to do that. I think if there's an opportunity and it is legal, which you're going to have to check on for me because
I'm pretty sure
honestly
like payola is technically legal on any platform. It's just like on Spotify, it's against their terms and conditions. Like the platforms, like if it's a private company, it's blocked. Like on Spotify, you can't pay someone to get on their playlist. Like that's against the terms and service. But it's not illegal. It's not. You're not breaking a law. At least in the United States. Maybe it's different somewhere else. But
so I don't know how it works for like specifically for like blogs, but
I think it'd be the same as a sponsored. I mean, like on YouTube, I accept money from like DistroKid to do a sponsored video every month. I mean, I guess the difference is I have to declare that it's sponsored. But
so if so, like sometimes on the website I'll do sponsored content same way I do on YouTube, and there's a little disclosure that goes so I think that would probably cover your ass, but that would be up to the outlet.
Yeah.
Right, like, so I don't know, it's yeah, I don't like, I think honestly, if you have the opportunity and you think it's worth it, it could easily be worth it to pay that kind of money. Like you should just do it. Like I think that your money probably would be better spent elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like you could take that same money. So like we did a premiere on a smaller website, okay? And then we put some money into boosting the post to get that in front of people, and that's a thing that you can do. Or you could just take that same money and put it into Facebook advertising, YouTube ads, and I think probably see a much better return. One of the things is like if you're trying to get views on a YouTube video, Facebook will absolutely crush all of your reach if you're trying to advertise the direct YouTube link. If the video is embedded in a post and you're pushing that, it won't crush that reach. And that's a lot of why you want to do a premiere with a site. Now, if you have a direct upload to Facebook, like a clip of your music video, and then you're trying to get people to the music video or to your Spotify page or whatever, that works. That's what we've been doing, obviously. I say obviously. It's obvious to you because you're helping us, but the people watching at home.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess if any of you are watching and have never heard of me before, if you want to know how to promote your music, learn about Facebook ads and YouTube ads, that's what I do. I mean, it's part of what I do. So feel free to subscribe and hang around. We get some questions from people though.
Oh yeah.
And so I think we'll go into the Q&A portion of stuff, which is kind of gonna end this little stream we got going on. And by the way, I gotta say, all of the Trey Xavier people who are hanging out, I can clearly tell who, like, that they came from you because of how hilarious they've been in the chat the whole time. I've been just kind of casually looking over and, like, you know, question for Trey: if you could nuke any state, which would it be and why? And then Resolution says California. He's not gonna like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that because that would be suicide. Because that's where I live. Actually, though, well, the worst state is Indiana. I wouldn't nuke it because I have so many friends who live there now, but it is awful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I would nuke the one with the lowest population density.
It's a good answer. Someone else, and I can't find it, I just remember seeing it, said, "What are you getting me for Christmas?"
I am getting you probably a discount on my songwriting course.
Oh, link in the not in the description, but go to Trey Xavier YouTube channel. I'm sure it's in those descriptions. I'll have it in the final video.
Yeah, I'll give you a link. But yeah, that'll. I can neither confirm nor deny that there will be a discount
for Christmas
around the holidays.
Oh.
But yeah, so that's what I got you. And there's a completely free course called the Rift a Song Challenge, which you're gonna have to have so many links from me. I'm just gonna.
You should just make a link tree just for this final video. I'll drop the link to the Rift a Song Challenge in the chat in case anyone wants to check it out. I did sign up for it, and it's cool. It's delivered entirely via email. It's super detailed, but also not overwhelming at all. So it's free too. So you know, it's like if you hate it, you just unsubscribe.
You know, in that video, I talk about the manual, like in the comedy video, like the manual. This is as close to the manual for your writing your first song as it's gonna get. I wanted to make it so any fucking idiot, including myself, could do it. Like, if you've never written a song before and you play the guitar, you should definitely do it, and it will cost you $0. So, but
yeah.
I didn't, man.
Drop Audio says, why are lyric videos your favorite?
Lyric videos are my favorite because for some goddamn reason, people who make lyric videos always have cringy fucking lyrics. I don't know. It's like, it feels like a lack of self-awareness to me. Like, why? It's like they're like, well, I made a song, I recorded it, and I see that people make lyric videos. I guess people like lyric videos, and then they pay somebody to make a lyric video. There's always at least one spelling error. Every time. 100% of the time. And I don't know if it's just that maybe all of these songs have terrible, cringy lyrics. It's just that then when it's like, here they are, here, have them, look at all of them, you can read them along with it. Then all of a sudden you're just aware of them. I really don't know. But it's like if you're gonna make a lyric video, make sure that your lyrics don't fucking suck.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I
that's just
I have lyric videos made for all my stuff because they're essentially the most affordable and popular thing you can. They kind of are a nice combination where like visualizers you can get made for dirt cheap, but visualizers suck. I mean, at least in most genres. Some genres really like them, but music videos are hella expensive. The video for Scream, like I'm sure that costs thousands of dollars to make, and hundreds of hours, maybe not hundreds of hours, but a lot of hours. And you know, so lyric videos, like they're kind of in the middle where they're pretty affordable. They can be done fast, and a lot of people like them. And so I do them every time. I don't really like watching lyric videos of bands, but
what you got to consider is not necessarily what you like, but what's you know, like so if your lyrics aren't I think honestly, I think even if your lyrics are stupid, maybe you should do one anyways. Because
would you make a lyric video for Scream? Does Scream meet the lyrical criteria to have a lyric video?
Well, I'm the wrong person to ask because I'm very biased. But you know, like exactly, like who's to decide?
Yeah.
It's not my job to decide if your lyrics are cringy or not. Like I think a lot of them are, and that sucks. But you have to consider your audience because most people are not as incredibly fucking critical as I am. So, you know, like don't let me gatekeep you from making a lyric video. I very well may make one. Charles Wagner asked if people should do more music videos in the classic MTV sense or more performance playthroughs. I personally think that playthroughs can be worth doing, but remember that you are making those for the small portion of your audience who are musicians. That's not a substitute for
I would say unless it's a vocal playthrough. I think people will gladly watch a singer perform a song, even if they're not a musician. But like, no one's gonna watch guitar, drums, unless you're like Danny Carey. Then the average person will watch Danny Carey play. But
yeah. So it's weird. Like, as a musician, you wind up watching a lot of playthrough videos. Yeah. I actually will mostly watch drummers. I love watching drummer playthrough videos for awesome drummers, especially death metal drummers, like John Longstreth. I'll watch that guy play for hours. But you don't want musicians for your audience. You don't as a band. That's incredibly limited. Yeah, it's a very, very small sliver of the people that you could have. And like, if you were making your music and your content for them, they're the most critical, the least they're going to enjoy themselves the least, because all they're doing is comparing you to themselves and to other musicians, and they spend the least amount of money for the most part, except on things like tabs, lessons, and stuff like that, which can be very lucrative. But you if what you're trying to do is be successful as an artist, narrative music videos are your EPK, basically, like your digital press kit. Like, if I want to know about a band, I will go and watch one of their music videos. I've never, in like all 8-9 years of doing this, have I opened an electronic press kit of any kind for a band. You get all of the information that you need to know about a band by watching their music video. You get their artistic vision. You figure out what they look like who's in, how many people are in the band, you know what I mean? And a really well done music video.
Really good point.
Really worth it. Like I look back at like the time I spent making an EPK, and I'm just like.
Yeah, I think it's probably a lot of genre differences. Like for an EDM musician, for example, like they don't play anything, and so a music video, it's completely like electronic music fans are used to not seeing the person behind the scenes, and so I think it's probably different. But that is a really good point, that if someone has a great music video, you can learn a lot about them, because you see not only you not only hear the song, but you see like the branding and the artistic vision, and
Yeah.
so it does tell you a lot, which makes me want to go make some real music videos.
Well, it's actually one of my favorite parts of the process. I love music videos so much. And making them to me is the final form of the song. So for me, I love being able to reveal more of the story with the visual. Like the Scream video tells a very important part of the story of the concept album that it's a part of. Okay. Like if you've seen our old music video for Purgatory, you may have noticed that it's the same actor playing
Ooh.
this Sisyphus character. And Scream actually chronologically comes before Purgatory in the story of the album. And like it's possible that people will watch them and not really get that. At a certain point, I'm hoping that it'll all come together in a series of music videos that will give you a better idea. I might still have to explain it in a way, but like even if it's not like very explicit step-by-step story that you understand completely, you get the feeling that I'm trying to imbue of like
Yeah.
uh awakening and escape in Scream, like uh uh um you know he's the catalyst, who is the female character in the video, like basically, how do I say this, incepting, like convincing him that it's his time to awaken and escape from his chains. And then like he goes through this process of like screaming to just like to have this like cathartic release from his own self-imposed imprisonment, and just be like, okay, I've had fucking enough of this, I've been punished long enough, and awakening and then leaving at the end of the video. Okay,
Yeah,
like
when the white door kind of thing, and there's like the
yeah,
lady who like points him over to it.
yeah. And so, and that character, the catalyst, that the woman who in the Scream is played by my friend Zell. In Purgatory, she's that little girl who like takes his laundry stuff, and it's the same character played by different people.
Yeah.
um so
Jeff Lynne
you
Guitar
can't
says,
get
"Okay, George Lucas."
yeah, and like you can't get that out of a guitar playthrough.
Yeah, yeah,
Also, like this, we might do a playthrough for Scream. It's not very interesting on guitar. Like it's like I like the riff for the song and I like the guitar parts, but there's nothing about it that's technical or very interesting. So whatever. Um, but to me, this is like the pure art portion of it. So having a narrative music video to me is incredibly important for connecting with people, which is the reason that
yeah.
we do this shit, like getting the story across, showing them this thing. Like it's at the core of it, the whole thing is about self-forgiveness and moving forward with your life. Um and
That's the whole music video thing. I've never heard it really explained that way, but it's a really good point. Which actually I might actually go and make sure I do more music videos next year because of that. Because
I think it's very important in establishing the aesthetic for your band, which is
yeah,
super important. Um,
also
and
an
to me,
incredibly hard thing to do is
incredibly
figuring
hard.
out the aesthetic of your music project. It's hard, but I think once you have that, a music video it makes sense that it would be a really good way to convey that imagery.
Yeah, to me, so if you have a video and you're scoring it like a movie or a TV show or whatever, and you're scoring it with music, making a music video is that in reverse. You're
Right.
scoring the sound with a visual. And of course, Scream was 3 separate shoots. Okay, there's the band performance part, there's the narrative part with the characters, the actors, and then there was one because we just didn't get enough performance footage, and I also wanted a separate like something that was part of both the narrative and the performance, and that's when I'm wearing the all white and against the white background. It was very it was very expensive. I think all told, I mean, yeah, I think it was probably around $5,000 all told. I did a lot of it myself. I edited it myself. It would have been a lot more. And back in the day, dude, before like being able to have access to pro quality equipment at
it would be a lot
like
more.
at the level that we're doing it, it could have been $100,000. Like this kind of shit. Like,
I mean, like,
I live in
I just
LA,
got a
so
second good camera, and this thing shoots 4K 60 frames a second, and like with the lens, it's $2,000.
Yeah,
and it like 10 years ago, if you wanted 4K 60, you'd be renting an RE. I think they're called Alexa.
Yeah,
I want to make sure my Echo didn't trigger.
Don't say it.
But like, you might rent it for $10,000 a week, or like rent it, because they would cost $100,000 or whatever. And now you can buy a camera that's better than that. I mean, depends on how you look at it, for less than $2,000. And honestly, for less than $1,000, you can get something that would do like 1080 with a great lens, and it's come down.
And it's and you can learn so much just from YouTube, and like, like that's not going to make it good. It's not going to make you be able to write a script or conceptualize a great idea. I mean, I don't necessarily know that I've done that, but I think I did what I wanted to do, and it looks basically exactly how I imagined it, which is awesome to me.
It's a really good video.
I was able to get it from my brain into the video. Now, that's because I've been editing videos for over 10 years, like just fucking getting my 10,000.
You have the equivalence of a film studio well, I don't know if it's at your home or if it's a separate building, but it's
in the garage. But that, like, the whole narrative part of it, the two actors, I filmed all of that in the garage, just with my own lighting and cameras, and the white background part, I rented a Psych Wall studio that's in Burbank, which is the next town over. Like, now living in LA, like, I have access to good quality actors, great spaces to shoot in.
It's a lot harder to find a space to shoot in Massachusetts, where I am. Like, I did find a local one, but it's like, it's a couple, I think it was $500 an hour. It was a really cool space. I might be wrong. Maybe it was $250 an hour, but it was expensive. But they had like cameras ready there that you could use, and they had multiple staged rooms that they would swap out every month. So like one week the room might be like, there'd be like a bathtub, and it'd be like the room would be splattered in blood. And then the next month it might be like that room is now like a prison cell. And the next month it's like an alien abduction. So they constantly are swapping it out, and
cool.
So I thought about doing.
I recommend checking out Peer Space.
I think that's where I found them. But I'm gonna look that up.
There's a lot of really cool places, and that's where I find that, and like there's similar types of websites that just people just list their spaces and you can rent them. I recommend those because it's usually really easy to find a spot. I don't even know how like, otherwise you have to do like location scouting, and it's a pain in the ass. But like, I might just hire somebody to do the next one. Like I think we're at a level where we could probably do that now, and I think it's important to be able to not, like, this one took us 2 years. Like, we shot the band, was it 2 years? I mean, of course there was a pandemic right in the middle, but like,
it would have been worth it instead of paying $5,000 and waiting 2 years if it cost $8,000 and it got done in like two
Exactly.
months. You know, it'd be
Yeah.
worth the extra cost.
And to outsource all of it, so all we have to do is show up and do what the director says, and like conceptualize it with them, because I would be pretty
Involved.
specific about what I wanted. But like, you know, like why do we think that we have to do everything? You know, I always tell people, like, do you want to be a musician? Do you want to be an artist, or do you want to be an engineer? Because people out there think they have to be able to mix and master their own shit, and then either they don't get it done because they don't ever learn how to do it, or they do it and it sucks.
It's the whole time versus money thing. You know, if you don't have any money, you're gonna have to put in the time and learn how to do it and do your best. But there's definitely a point where, you know, if you have money and you don't have any time, it'd be way better to have someone who can do it right, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's like,
I do it with all my solo music. I do all the mixing and mastering, and it's kind of a thing that's like a point of pride in my music. For the Ever Waking Moments stuff, that's where Mr. Eric Simey comes in. Because I couldn't crank out the music at the quality and pace that we're trying to go for if I also had to do all the mixing and mastering for that, and in addition to my solo stuff. And so like Eric enables to make that happen, you know. And so
yeah, and like I think everybody needs a Zyme in their life. Like if you're a musician, like you need a producer, engineer who can do those things for you and be an expert in those, so that you can do the thing that you're going to be the best at, you know. So like he does all my mixes and masters for full mix stuff on the channel, and if I was having to also learn how to do that, that's a whole other like lifetime of study to get good at that. And I don't like that would be, I'd be putting it out when I'm 65. You know, like I only do the video stuff because I really love to do it and I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But if that's another thing that I can outsource and have a higher quality end product that still fits my vision, then I'm 100% going to outsource that. Because like, why do I have to do everything? Like, I want to be a musician. I want to fucking write songs and play them. And I don't want to be I don't want to be an engineer. Like, that's not exciting and sexy to me. Like, I am so fucking grateful that there are people who want to do that and care about it a lot. But like, it was just like not wanting to do gear shit anymore. Like, I love gear, but I don't want to have to care about what like fucking kinds of tubes are in the amp that I have. Like, I just I don't want to learn circuit design so that I can play the guitar. Yeah. So anyway, that was a much longer rant than I intended to.
I have one more question. It's going to be a quick one, and then I got to go eat some salmon because dinner is finished and I'm starving. So this one comes from Eric Simey, and it's a fun one. So if Purgatory was a New Hope, is Scream the Phantom Menace?
I fucking hope not. But that's what I call pod racing.
Yeah. Oh, 13 Flaws says that's a t-shirt. Everybody needs a Simey.
Everybody needs a Simey.
Yeah.
Man, what would I hope that it would be more like a as long as it's not the Star Wars Christmas special, I guess I'm pretty happy, because I don't feel the need to bury it. What would be a better example? I think Scream is more like a little bit more like what was the standalone Star Wars movie, newer Star Wars movie that came out?
Oh, Rogue One?
Rogue One. I think it's more like Rogue One. It's a little more self-contained, even though it's part of the larger story. It's a small little self-contained adventure. It's shorter than a lot of our songs, although a lot of the songs on the new album are pretty short compared to a lot of my older ones. But like, and you know, it's like it was a really good single, I think, because it was just this sort of like, here's a whole thing that you could enjoy. It's part of the larger story, but if you don't get that, it doesn't matter. It's just a cool, catchy banger.
Nice. Well,
and George Lucas was not involved.
No George Lucas. You are the George Lucas.
Not allowed.
Thanks for hanging out, everyone. This has been a fun. How long have we been going?
It was a long
About
time.
2 hours. So thanks everyone for hanging out.
Has it really been 2 hours?
It's yeah. Smash that like button, subscribe if you want to do that thing, and if you're here for me and you've never heard of Trey before, go check out his channel. There's a link in the description. Really good. If you make music and like my marketing content, you'll probably like his songwriting content, because you are probably a songwriter who wants to make better music and watch people have fun doing it. So
yeah, and you're gonna want to make better songs that will make Andrew's job of marketing your shit a lot easier. Like,
exactly.
We need each other so bad. So
but
everybody subscribe.
Thanks for hanging out, everyone. I'm gonna end the stream, and have a good night.
Yeah, guys. Peace out.